now, Chris. They got to find a quarterback.
Yeah.
Mary-Kate Cabot had an item yesterday in Cleveland.com where she listed 11 names, and technically 10 because the 11th was Kyler Murray, and she said they're not trading him. So there's 10. 10 names. Let me rattle them off here real quick because some of them are intriguing and some of them are there's at least one or two of them I want to talk about. Joe Flacco, which would be awesome if he went back. Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Gardner Minshew II, Jacoby Brissett, and Jimmy Garoppolo. Aaron Rodgers wasn't on that list. I don't think that they want him, and I don't think he wants them.
Yeah.
Any of those names jump out to you as like, yes, that's the guy?
No, not really. Not as far as like that's the guy. Are there some, options with some of those early names to where you go, okay, yeah, I could understand them wanting him. I don't know if they're the long-term future or answer or anything like that. But yes, those are not the names, right? Kirk Cousins is clearly the best name of that group. The rest of it, though, is going to make Myles Garrett go, wait, what direction are we going in here? That's what I come back to. And the fan base altogether, yeah, I don't think there's any name there that's just going to like get a team and go, hey, we're ready now. We're ready with this team and that guy at quarterback to watch out. We're coming. We're going to take the AFC North. No, nobody like that.
And here's what happened. And this happens a lot in traditional media, newspapers, etc. The reporter writes the article, and then somebody else applies a headline. And sometimes the headline doesn't exactly convey the spirit and the content of the article. The headline focused on Flacco. Flacco on the Browns' radar. And so I'm like, this would be awesome. Bring him back. Didn't bring him back last year because you don't want the Browns fans chanting, Flacco, Flacco, when Deshaun Watson is throwing bounce passes in week 1. And let's bring him back. Let's go. So I look at the article, and it really doesn't pop out that it's Flacco. So I started to, I put on the hat with the little press thing in it, and I started to poke around a little bit. Is there something to Flacco going back to the Browns? And Chris, while in the process of trying to figure out whether or not there's something to Flacco going back to the Browns, I heard a name that surprised me, and it will probably sadden Browns fans. Carson Wentz is a name to watch carefully. The guy they could have taken with the second overall pick in 2016 and got dragged for not taking him until it turned out he wasn't as good as it looked like he was going to be when the Eagles traded up to get him. Carson Wentz is a name to watch. And you know what? It makes sense because they got a cap nightmare that's still unfolding with Deshaun Watson. They're going to have cap consequences of the Myles Garrett deal. This is going to be about finding somebody who can pass the eyeball test and be cheap enough to justify it. I think that's the key. I think they might just put a number out there and say, to 7 or 8 different guys, here's the number. Whoever calls back first and says yes gets it. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but consider some of the moves the Browns have made. It kind of fits with how they've done things over the past 10 years.
Well, a lot of the guys that you've listed on there, are a little bit desperate. They're going to want to – there's definitely going to be some that are just looking for a seat or looking for a spot to be a starter somewhere. So, I get that. But, yeah, that doesn't, excite me. And that's not going to excite anybody in Cleveland if it's Carson Wentz. And I have a hard time believing that even where Cleveland, I think they're a little crazy at times, I don't think they're crazy enough to bring in Carson Wentz as a starting quarterback. But we'll see. They've surprised me before, that's for sure. But yeah, you look at it, and I would think it's going to be something about value. That's why it's like, we bring up Kirk Cousins a second ago. I don't think realistically that's going to happen. Yeah, trade a guy, more assets, more money to a quarterback that might not work out and has got an issue with his Achilles tendon and all that and didn't look the same last year. But I don't know, whoever they bring in there, Mike, I don't think it's going to be, real eye-opening and wowing to us.
It's hard for those with rational minds, and I'd like to think that between Chris and I, there's one rational mind on average, maybe, or at least one. At least when we put the two pieces together, there's enough there that it's rational. It's hard for the rational mind to predict what the irrational will do, and that's the problem that you have in figuring out the Cleveland Browns. But I think back to that Carson Wentz photo, 2023, when he was trying to find a team. He had Eagles, Colts, Commanders gear on. Now you can add Rams to it. He had the cup of coffee with the Rams, Chiefs, and maybe the Browns can make their way onto this, or somebody else. We'll see what happens with Carson Wentz. He's one of those guys who's probably going to get a job somewhere. We just don't know where or when. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.